Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Dorothy. I'm a professional astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. Click that little letter I in the corner of this video and the drop down card will bring you right to my website. So today I want to talk about the month of August, and I'll do this for each of the zodiac signs. But as a preference, I want you to take quick notes here and remember these things first, and then I'm going to get into each individual sign. Got quite a few things going on in August. I've got at least 20 things to talk about. But a couple of the main things that are going on that are very, very important is this whole month we still have Venus in her retrograde motion in the sign of Leo. And with Venus retrograde, this is that time period where we're reevaluating our values, we're reevaluating some love relationships and partnerships, and we really can be even working on our own self-esteem and our own values and the things that we value just personally about ourselves, because that Venus energy does represent very personal energy. All right, so keep that in mind when I talk about Venus throughout the specifics of each of these videos. And I also want to mention that in the first couple weeks, the first week's actually pretty much close to the first 10 days of August, we have quite a few planets at the final 1 or 2 degrees of each of their respective zodiac signs, and mainly it's Saturn at 28 Scorpio, Venus and Jupiter are both at the 28 and 29th degree of Leo. And when we have these energies, when planets are at the end of the zodiac signs, it creates a sense of urgency. So up until I talk about August 11th, before then, Venus and Saturn and Jupiter transits are all going to have a feeling of urgency around them. So just remember that, and let me get to the details of what's going on now. Okay? All right. Okay, so for Taurus, let's get this started. So for those of you with Taurus rising, what we have going on here is on August 1st and August 2nd, depending on where you live, of course, we have Saturn in a stationary and going direct motion. It's at one of those final degrees at the 28th degree of Scorpio. And this is in your solar 7th house. And so with Saturn in your 7th house, and it's been there for a couple of years, your relationships have definitely been going through some type of shift and change. If you even had a relationship, if you were already in one, then it could help stabilize things. But if you weren't in a relationship, then what goes on with that energy is that there is a whole lot of karma that we get to work through, and just you get to examine about our relationships and our lives at this point in the year. Now at the same time, on August, I was going to say September, on August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, so all of these days, all of these aspects I'm going to tell you about in just a second, they're applying or will be exact aspects. And so what we have is, I'm going to look at my notes, I'm sorry, I have to look down, Venus and Mercury and Jupiter, all in the sign of Leo. So in this time period, Venus and Jupiter will conjunct. Venus is retrograde, like I mentioned earlier, so there's a karmic twist to our love relationships there. And with it conjunct to Jupiter, and both at the final degree, the last couple degrees of Leo, the intensity of this this square does represent challenges. And the challenges, we're being asked to really look at, how we are presenting in our love relationships, and we're being asked to work through any things that we value, the financial piece of our lives, and because Venus represents relationships and partnerships, and it also represents finances and the things that we value. So with Venus conjunct Jupiter, we're looking at where we've been generous and maybe overly generous with our love or our money, and that can come up. And Venus-Mercury conjunction, that happens regularly, but those two together in the sign of Leo as well can just be a lot about communication and a lot of conversations going on there. And all three, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter making a square aspect back over to Saturn in that sign of Scorpio in your 7th house. So the 4th house to the 7th house is where all these things are happening. So this is definitely a reevaluation of home and family and the relationships that you have with those people that fall into the category of family. There's a big shift going on here for you. And squares don't necessarily mean that it's a catastrophe. What it means is that there is an adjustment you're being made aware of that you need to make. Okay? It's not the end of the world. These transits are here to help us move us forward. So with this being said, you can check into that for yourself. Now, let's move on. I will move on to August 8th. And on August 8th, Mars moves into that sign of Leo, which means Mars will be moving into your 4th house. And when it moves into that 4th house, the energy that we get, and with this is that there is a lot of movement at home. That 4th house does represent home, family, it's family karma, genealogy, the family history that we've brought, the family lineage with issues or problems, all of the energy of how each family has its own dynamic of what it believes in and what it doesn't believe in. So with Mars moving through that sector for the next 6-7 weeks, and that starts on August 8th, it's going to give you a lot of fire and a lot of, will bring a lot of energy available to you so you can make any changes that need to be made, or there doesn't always mean there's change, but there's just a lot of activity at home, having fun. August is a busy month for a lot of people in the Northern Hemisphere because it's summer. Could just mean that you're going on a nice vacation with your family. Lots of good things going on here. Next, on August 11th, we have Jupiter. He's leaving Leo and entering the sign of Virgo. Now, Jupiter in Virgo is in its detriment. That means it is not happy there. Jupiter is big, it's expansive, it is about the bigger picture, it is about generosity, and this is always about overdoing it. The sign of Virgo represents small little details. Now, with Jupiter in Virgo, it will be in your 5th house, your solar 5th house. And that 5th house is the place that we're creative and expressive. It can represent our children, and it represents where we're willing to take risks. So with Jupiter moving through Virgo, it will take a whole year to move through that zodiac sign, which means it'll take approximately the same amount of time to move through that house for you, depending on the size of that house in your own personal chart. These things always do vary. So Jupiter moving through your 5th house will highlight the fact that, you need to focus in on your children, and you need to rein it in. It's going to take us a few weeks for us to get the hang of Jupiter in Virgo, because like I said, Virgo is not the best place for that planet. It's just big. It's like fitting yourself into a size 2 pair of jeans if you are 12. Doesn't work well. You might be able to get there if you diet, but that's not the point. The point is Jupiter big, Virgo small details. Not always easy to fit those two together, so we're going to have to, that service to others, we're going to have to really focus in on that and see how we can make the details small. Now, moving on, August 14th, we have a new moon in Leo, and at the same time, it will make a conjunction to that retrograde Venus in Leo. That's on August 14th. I will create a separate video for that since it's a new moon. But that will happen in your 4th house, your solar 4th house for you, Taurus. And again, that means and that represents that family, home and family are highlighted during this time period, during this month for you, because there's a lot going on in your solar 4th house. So that is all about home and family. So there's a lot going on there for you that needs your attention. And it can be good. Obviously, it can be very good. Jupiter's there. Jupiter loves attention. On the 19th of August, Venus, again, retrograde in Leo, makes a trine aspect to Uranus in Aries. Now, that will create a level and a sense of freedom that we want to have. We really feel like if we've been stuck, we really need to move. This is from the 4th house to the 12th house in the chart for you with Taurus rising. And so that means that there is some kind of spirituality shift and break that's going on here for you. If we focus out of the mundane and into the more spiritual piece of what astrology can be, with Uranus transiting through your solar 12th house, that means you may be having some major breakthroughs in your spiritual practices and the things that are important for you in your spiritual peace and in your psychological healing and the unconscious mind and in dream time. So all of those things that are relatively unconscious, things that we can't really touch. All right, so there is a shift going on there for you. And since Venus is retrograde, and again, she's in that 4th house, she's representing the energy of how you're being creative and the things that you value. If you're feeling really stuck, then, because Taurus doesn't always move quickly, but if you're feeling really stuck, then the energy of this can really help you to move out of that feeling of being stuck. Let's move on to August 23rd, when the sun moves into the sign of Virgo. Then we can shift out of a lot of the Leo energy and now finally shift into some Virgo energy, where we can start focusing in on the details of our daily routine and what's going on there. Our health, our exercise, the things that we do every day, our co-workers, all those types of things will be highlighted for the month. From the 26th on, one whole month, 23rd, sorry. On the 26th though, the sun makes a conjunction to Jupiter, because Jupiter's already been there for a week and a half, and the sun conjunct Jupiter is, and the energy around that again in that 5th house of being creative, but in the sign of Virgo. So pay attention to some of the details. Start putting together, a to-do list if you want to feel creative. You can even, that 5th house also represents our children, so putting together a creative, a to-do list for your children as well. That Sun-Jupiter can work in many different ways, but mainly it will highlight the fact that you need to be focusing in on these Jupiter, on these Virgo things and the details of what Virgo represents, like I already mentioned. August 29th, we have the full moon at 6 degrees of Pisces. That's in your solar 11th house. Again, I'll create a video just for that when we get closer to that time period. But in the meantime, with the full moon in Pisces, and then on the 31st of August, the sun is in an opposition to Neptune, who's in charge of Pisces. All of this goes on around your 11th house. So any spiritual groups that you belong to, anything new that you have an interest in now, you might actually be able to start to find some time and start working on that, because the full moon and the sun with Neptune and Pisces, there's a lot of fog involved when we look at this Pisces and this Neptune energy, but the sun will, if you know nature, the sun does clear out the fog. It burns that fog off. So there's an opportunity here for you, if you're unclear about certain things, certain groups that you want to belong to, or certain social endeavors that you have in mind, then after the 31st, you should be able to really focus in on and see what will be effective for you and what will not. All right? I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Please come to my website, nhastrologer.com. The link is right on that little bar right there, or maybe I'm pointing in the wrong direction, I don't know, but it's in the top corner of this video. You can click on that and you can take you right to my website. Please come visit. Memberships, sessions, all kinds of classes, even online classes if you want to learn with me. Come on down. All right, I'm going to be on vacation from the end of August up until the 10th, no, the end of July till the 10th of August. So if you have any questions, I will not be answering them during that time. I will be out. Thank you. Camping. No electronics. Blessed be. Blessed be. Namaste.